Hi, welcome to the third episode of Market Musings. I didn't make the episode last time because busy, busy, busy. So I'm gonna keep this episode short. We're just gonna talk about some news that I found interesting, and I'm curating it for you. So let's go. I mean, it's mostly from the Middle East and something about the Google I/O. So if you look about what is happening in with OpenAI and Oracle, they made a $40 billion chip deal, and they basically Oracle wants to get into the the hyperscaler business, which is dominated by Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, and they are Oracle kind of thinks like they're kind of the old version of the cloud, so they want to be a new cloud now because that's where the growth and multiple is. So they'll be spending $40 billion, which is approximately 400,000 NVIDIA GPUs for the US data center in Texas. And this is part of the Operation Stargate, and it will be operational in mid 2026. And then they will lease the site for 15 years and turn these computing back to OpenAI, and then uh, which is the primary backer. And basically, OpenAI wants to kind of move away from Microsoft and Azure. JPMorgan is the main financier by giving $10 billion of loans alongside of $5 billion of equity from other investors. And basically, as I told you, they're trying to catch up to Microsoft, Amazon, Google. If they would be able to catch up, that's a different story because it's hard to build hyperscalers and you need specific expertise. But why not? It's good to try. More AI capacity will be cheaper AI capacity for all. So, and they are also trying to figure out something in the UAE, which is also related to Stargate. So we don't know. We'll see. Which leads us to the Middle East deals, which President Trump did, which Saudi Arabia was the main star of the show. And they made their new company called Humain, not to confuse by Humain, which is an AI pin company that got bankrupted by MKBHD, or basically they just made a pin that has a microphone and that overheats. So whatever. But NVIDIA will sell hundreds of thousands of its latest Blackwell GPU to Humain. So basically, 18,000 GPUs have been ordered, and then there are going to be more. AMD also joined in, and they're building 500 megawatts of AI compute infrastructure. But I think NVIDIA is on a different scale. So probably in AMD is not going to be mm, that important. So essentially, it's 10 billion for AMD and probably 40 billion, 30 billion for Nvidia, probably more. We'll see. And these things about AI, and especially with technology, the winner takes all. For example, if you say Uber and Lyft in the US, Lyft is a distant second, and Uber is so far ahead that Lyft doesn't even pose a threat. And this is a winner takes all market. So AMD doesn't have pricing power. NVIDIA has pricing power. NVIDIA has all of the economies of scale. They can invite industry's best and brightest for innovation. Basically, they're winning and their stock price is going up, which is attracting more new talent, which is taking away talent from AMD since this is a zero-sum game. You do not find many GPU architects essentially in the wild. It's hard for them to find them. So uh, yeah, if I was looking to invest in NVIDIA and AMD, I would probably go towards NVIDIA. Not thinking of the valuations, but this is not a stock advice. So this is just me thinking of an economic model. But these deals are kind of dollar for dollar. So every dollar that the Middle East invest in themselves, they will also have to invest in the US, which is quite interesting since seeing that the US has a power deficit in the next year and a half, and they're not building that many new power infrastructure. So we'll see where these deals are going. Um, but also a caveat was 80% of the cloud infrastructure should be operated by American companies. So it should be Google Cloud or other stuff or Amazon or AWS, whatever, which is a new framework which is led by the US for AI investments and AI collaboration on technology. All in all, I think it's a good deal. I mean, the Middle East has so much abundant cheap power. They can probably get crude oil for $4 to $6 a barrel, probably eight. They have insane gross margins. They have so much solar capacity because it's a desert. So what they want to do is export instead of exporting energy, they want to export tokens, which is just a processed form of it, which will last longer than fossil fuels. And they want to be, and they're in the perfect, like in the middle location of the world, Middle East. So they are close to Asia, they are close to Europe, they are close to Singapore, Africa, and stuff like that. So they're really, especially Mohammed bin Salman is really, um, really wanting to go into this AI future. So it remains to be seen how they're going to do it. They were also talking about AI factories, which makes sense. You can make factories in the middle of the desert if the people working there are robots. So it remains to be seen how it goes, how they're going to deal with the natural constraints of heat, I mean, heat, lack of water, and other stuff. Then in another NVIDIA news, NVIDIA is trying to build a low-spec AI for the Chinese market. Basically, it would be like on this Blackwell architecture, which is the newer one. So the Grace Blackwell or GB architecture, and it would be around $6,500 to $8,000, which is 30% cheaper than its high-end H20 model, which was also cheaper than the original Grace Blackwell 200. Um, and this is because of the US sanctions. And then this GPU also has a lower amount of memory, so GDDR7. Um, so basically, NVIDIA has 13% of its sales coming from China. And they are really, like Jensen really professed on Twitter, like, hey, I do not like export controls. Export controls are bad for the economy and the world. And it incentivizes Chinese players like Huawei to build their own infrastructure, which would make the US lose in the AI race. So they are trying to take this example of this new GPU, the H, I forgot its name, the H20, for fuck's sake, the H20 to the market, and they are talking to the US administration to see if they can launch it. Remains to be seen. As an NVIDIA investor, which I was recently, it's good to track. Then Google I/O happened, which was amazing. They launched new Gemini AI models, and they are going straight through Gemini. And Sundar Pichai and Larry Page were talking about innovators' dilemma in the recent podcast with Olin. And basically, they are saying, okay, we are going full force forward. We are going to do an AI mode, which is basically perplexity. They are doing Project Astra, which was my favorite outside on the Google I/O, where you can just take your phone and then talk to it. So it can take context from your camera, it can hear to you, it can go through your phone, it can navigate your phone and do things for you. So it's a phone use agent essentially, which is quite interesting for me personally. There were a lot of Gemma models, which is the open source models of Google, and there are a lot of specific Gemini models that are meant for science, research, and a lot of the tasks that is specialized, which a general model might not be as good as. Then they had the Android XR glasses. I mean, I think this XR glasses are going to be, mine is not XR, but these XR glasses are going to be the future. I do not want to look at a tablet. I want the distractions right on my eyes because why not? But then it would be so multimodal. That would be quite interesting. So I can say, hey, can you navigate me to my friend's place? And you can just start navigation on your eyes. But it also raises a lot of privacy concerns. So we'll see. And then they also launched a new $250 pack, which is interesting, which has 30 terabytes of storage and all of the AI suite that we talked about. And it also has Flow, which is an AI-powered filmmaking tool, sure, which has video and image generation. And in video generation, they launched VO3, which has audio. So it's a new paradigm that is coming in. And in one of the slides, they show that in the last 1 year, the amount of token consumption, or basically token is the smallest unit of a LLM, which it consumes for compute, has gone up 50x, not 50%, 50x in just 1 year, which is insane, which is insane. But this is how Google is kind of perceiving it. This multimodal responses needs a lot of tokens to get in and gets and for processing and to get out and even for training. So I'm kind of looking forward to how much AI usage is going to be there. But one thing is for certain, AI is not dead. LLM is not dead, which leads to the Claude announcement that happened quite recently. So Claude, Anthropic, released this model called Claude 4 and Claude 4 Opus, which is again state of the art in programming. And Claude 3.7 was just overtaken by Gemini 2.5 Pro, and now which is overtaken by Claude 4, which is state of the art, and I use it in Cursor. It's an excellent model. It's more accurate, it hallucinates less, and it does less of the things that you didn't ask it to do. So it's a pretty good model, and I'm looking forward to more of Claude releases. They released an also like an AI safety guide and a Claude model handbook, which details some interesting things, which I might cover next week. Basically, it said the model will report you to the police if you threaten it, which was one of the bigger controversies on Twitter. We'll discuss it next week. And then lastly, the thing that I want to cover is everything was going fine after the Chinese tariff went down. It was good time. My stocks went up. Everybody's stocks went up. The index was up 5% in a day. Life would be rosy and happy. We could look forward in life. And then this orange decided to put a 50% tariff on all EU imports starting June 1. It takes 3 weeks EU, from goods from the EU to reach America. And it's only 10 days that is left in the implementation of these tariffs. Now, 5 when I'm making this video. Or a week, sorry, a week is left. From May 23rd, he put on the tariffs. But the issue is, what happened to the stuff that is in the transit? Like, how is this possible? How can there be a president who can just make a Truth Social post and then increase the cost by 50%? This is so crazy. This should not be happening. I don't know. I think it's becoming the boy who cried wolf instead of the art of the deal. I am getting more and more disillusioned by his tactics to handle the market. The bond yields are on top. The stocks are kind of falling now because of the EU problem, and it's just a mess. It's just, I don't know. I would say hedge your bets. I would say be careful, but also buy the dips. It's if yeah, just be careful with your money. But simultaneously, he also said that he would impose tariffs on Apple. In the World Trade Organization, you're not allowed to put tariffs on particular companies. You can put it on countries, but not companies. So this is making it for the first time that he's putting tariffs on a particular company. Nobody has ever done it, which, duh, Trump. So he may impose a 25% tariff on iPhones that are not made in the US. And basically he said, Tim Cook of Apple, I am not happy that you're trying to move your production from China to India. You should make them in the US. Yes, of course, Mr. President, you can just helicopter out of China to the US. You can just take the factory and put it there. Yes, Mr. President. That's how factories and supply chain works. Yes, Mr. President. I'm sorry, I cannot move everything. It's, it's anyways, so iPhones might be 25% more expensive in the US. Finally, great news. And the EU is not backing down. Good for them, honestly, because this guy is acting like such a bully, and the EU is going through this bureaucratically, and they said the trade deal should be done by mutual respect and not by threats. So we'll see. We'll see how things work out. So the news aspect is over. There were other news that I wanted to cover, but since in the interest of time, I would kind of skip it. But I would like to talk about banking. And next week, I might cover banking and how I pick banking stocks or what to look in a banking stock. So let's cover the basics first. So I found this very high resolution image on the internet and I was least bothered to recreate it. So you have to bear it with me. Let's say this is you and you deposit 100 euros in bank A. Then the bank puts 10 euros in reserve and pays 2% interest to person A. But they also loan the 90 euro on 90% to person B at 18% interest. He repays the bank makes some profit, and then bank lends again to person C, and then the cycle continues. So if you look at a bank, it is essentially a bond portfolio that is leveraged. And the hardest thing to do in a bank is to manage your risk. And risk management, it sounds easy, but let's say in a bank, if you're off by 4%, your whole bank could be zero. Your whole equity could be written to zero, almost pretty close. So you could be almost bankrupt. So it's very, very, very hard to do banking because you can give out infinite money, but to collect that back, that's the hard part, especially in this economy where there's layoffs, recession, and everything. So we're going to talk about banking in the next video, but I hope you enjoy this video. You can like, share, subscribe if you want, share it with people also if you want. But yeah, that's kind of it. And I'll just stop sharing this. See you guys. I hope the audio is better. If not, we'll try something else next week. Bye bye.